Episode 45, Santa Claus in Cold Blood. Christmas in Santa Cruz has a way of lying to you. The harbor looks peaceful this time of year, boats wrapped in bright strings of lights, reflections rippling over water still as a postcard. For a moment, if you squint just right, you might even believe the world is gentle. Then you take a sip of lukewarm coffee and remember your cup still fused to your hand from that water cooler/particle accelerator the cleaning lady accidentally left in the break room, and reality comes rushing back. I stood at the edge of the docks, breathing in the cold harbor air, cigarette, or what the FCC prefers I call an adult nicotine-themed cylinder, tucked behind my ear. KSCO had called me down here. Not because I'm the best detective in town, but because when things get weird after dark on the Central Coast, I'm the one who's dumb enough to answer the phone. Tonight the news was stranger than most. The harbor master was dead, and someone was trying to frame Santa Claus for the murder. Merry Christmas. They found him near the bridge retrofit area, scaffolding, cones, warning signs, everything you'd expect from a half-finished promise of a safety upgrades. But the harbor master wasn't killed by faulty construction. He was tangled in Christmas lights, dozens of them, bulbs cracked, wires frayed. The same lights he'd helped string around the boats for the annual parade. His face was pale, his breathing long gone. The lights were wound tight, too tight for an accident. No one gets themselves strangled by holiday cheer, unless someone helps him along. And right beside him, taped to a rusted railing, was a small folded paper, the kind you leave when you want to brag about your work. That's when I knew who we were dealing with. I opened the note carefully. Inside was a poem, 4 short lines. 3 of them rhymed. The 4th one was a punchline from a man who thinks murder is performance art. It read, He walked through the harbor, unaware of his plight, till the cords tightened round him and stole all his light. You're always too late, Army, never quite right, and soon you'll learn why killers work at furnace repair shops. There it was, the final stanza, the only killer in Santa Cruz cruel enough and theatrical enough to turn Christmas decorations into a murder weapon and call it poetry. Tonight he used Christmas lights as his weapon, and he wanted Santa to take the fall. He wasn't just killing the harbor master, he was killing Christmas spirit, and framing Santa for it was just icing on the fruitcake. The construction crew told me they'd heard something earlier, someone pacing the scaffolding, muttering in rhythm like they were practicing a poem under their breath. One guy thought it was a caroler. Another thought it was a raccoon with a head cold. A group of boat owners preparing for the parade said a stranger had been wandering the docks, asking strange questions about voltage, extension cords, and symbolic luminosity. One of them said he looked nervous, twitchy, guilty. Another witness claimed they saw a slim Santa suit near the bridge, too small to be the real guy, too jittery to be jolly. He was carrying something long and feathery. A quill. The Final Stanza's signature. He was rehearsing, testing the scene, planning his finale. The harbor master was in charge of the annual lighted boat parade, the biggest Christmas event in the harbor. If he died and Santa was framed, the parade would be canceled. Joy crushed, kids devastated, Santa's reputation in ruins. That's exactly the kind of chaos the Final Stanza would live for. He didn't kill for money or revenge. He killed for symbolism. And tonight, the symbol he chose was Christmas itself. I spread the clues out on the cracked metal bench at the bus shelter, the lights, the footprints, the staged Santa evidence, the poem, A pattern emerged, each detail pointing toward the breakwater at the edge of the harbor, where the sea meets the stone and the fog rolls in like a tired old ghost. Stanza wanted a finale. Something dramatic. Something he could rhyme about later. When I reached the breakwater, the Christmas lights from the boats cast long streaks across the water, shimmering like the heartbeat of the night. Fake snow blew across the rocks, catching in the beams of the harbor lamps. And there he was, the Final Stanza, wearing a patchwork Santa coat and holding that oversized quill like it was an executioner's axe made of feathers. He began reciting some new rhyme, one meant for me. You found me waiting by the harbor, but I shall flee. I must go farther. My verse will cut you even sharper, unless I change the subject to 6-7. I didn't let him finish. I lunged. I fell backward onto the stones, light still wrapped around his coat. He tried to rhyme harbor with father. What an idiot. We slipped on fake snow, tangled, stumbled, and he tripped over a giant decorative candy cane he must have planted for dramatic effect. By the time he hit the ground, I had the cuffs on already. Case closed. Show ruined. Poet arrested. Let's hope they can keep him in jail this time. Santa was cleared, and the parade would continue. Kids could sleep easy tonight. And the harbor master, may he rest in peace, will be honored with a final unfurling of lights across the harbor, this time glowing gently, not strangling anyone. I lit my cigarette, the FCC-approved adult tobacco cylinder, and watched the water ripple under the lights. My coffee was cold, but my Christmas was saved. Sometimes you take what you can, the winds. I stayed there a while, watching the harbor breathe again. The boats rocked gently under their strings of lights, each reflection trembling across the water like it wasn't sure the night was over. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe nights like this never really end. They just settle down long enough to fool you into thinking they did. My coffee cup was cooling in my hand, not that it ever warms up, and the fog rolled in soft around my boots. That's when it hit me. Sometimes the only way to make sense of a night like this is to wrap it up the way I always do, with a few lines for the man who kept this harbor steady. He guarded these boats through storm and night. He kept them steady, held them tight. Now Christmas glows in gentle light, and the tide moves gently beneath the bridge. His memory drifts in the cold night's blue, a hush that lingers where secrets grew. A silent echo the darkness drew. Someone's going to have to finish knitting this sweater for my tuna. Until next time, your detective, Billy Armi, and Merry Christmas.